his chops. It was like they were unpredictable. It's like an episode of Rick and Morty. You know how you can never predict where it's gonna go. It's like that's how his sampling was. I'm happy to be here. You know what I mean? And happy to be on y'all's podcast for sure.
I mean, you've been in Detroit doing a bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
You've
Yes.
one starting with the DIA concert.
Mm-hmm.
How was that for you?
It was really cool because, you know, the best part about it was we were in front of like Diego Rivera's like famous paintings and murals about the blue collar you know, history of Detroit and working so much, right? So it's like you saw all these amazing art pieces, and it was like it was cool to get to display my art in front of it, you know. So it was a very like intimate show. It was kind of a show that was more so for the actual recording of it, you know what I mean? Like kind of like how Tiny Desk is. It's only like a few people there. But it was like very intimate. Like I had like a lot of like my friends, people I grew up with, my family, my principal, my school, you know what I mean? My high school, like it was that type of energy, and with a live orchestra and like, you know, just conductor on stage. It was like a different type of show for me. So I was super happy about that.
That's crazy because I had to feel kind of like a full circle. I mean, how many field trips as a kid have you been on to the DIA?
No, for real.
You know?
Yeah, and the DIA is like one of the best like museums, like revered as like the top one in the country and like one of the best in the world. So it's like, you know, they'd be like Van Goghs in there. It'd be like all the like crazy art in there.
Detroit really got hidden gems, and people don't
yeah
realize that until they come here and they experience it for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
And now like you have a piece of that experience and that history by having your concert in there. So what did that full circle moment kind of feel like?
It just felt good, especially like getting to perform like songs from the new album, because I was exploring like a different side of myself musically on this album, on a lot of songs, like songs I got with Thundercat, songs like Apologize, songs I got you know, of that nature that I never performed before. That's kind of like more singing, you know what I'm saying, that I got to like execute in that area. But yeah, it was crazy. You know, I used to go on all the field trips, and the last time I went there though was a few years ago, and they had this fire Star Wars exhibit, like where they had like the real R2D2, the real C3PO, all the real costumes, Darth Vader costumes. And also R.I.P. James Earl Jones as well, one of the legends, one of my favorites. You know, who was the voice of Darth Vader and a lot of the, and also Lion King
Mufasa?
Legend. Yeah, Mufasa, of course. You know, but anyway, not to get off track. Yeah, it was incredible, dog. It was a great experience, and it was cool to like summarize some of my catalog and all of that journey too. You know what I mean?
It's nice that you're here, like coming back to your city, doing multiple things. Like you also did the Pistons and StockX launch. You know, living in LA, you're coming back here, but you're giving so much in different aspects to Detroit. What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, to me, I live here too. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is still the crib, and like, I can still have mail sent here. You know what I'm saying? We have a residence here, so it's like I get dual citizenship. You know what I mean? But it's always fun coming back. You know what I mean? And we also are speaking at this event at Pencil Lewis College. It's the only historically black college, historical black HBCU in Detroit, and it's also the only HBCU that is art focused. You know what I'm saying? That's right. Yeah, yeah. So it's an honor to speak there as well, and like because Detroit is such a like stylistic city. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, you can't really like copy the DNA as far as Detroit. Like, you know, we the like freshest, you know what I mean, when it comes to like just every style there is. Like, you know, this is why Biggie was like, Detroit must think Pink Gators, my Detroit players. You know, it's like we got something going on when it comes to the style. So
I mean, you see that with like Cardis and Buffs, and like it originated here with GM and everything, and then now like seeing and everybody
Carhartt,
in the world and
Carhartt's from you know, a lot of people don't know Carhartt's a Detroit company, a family one at that, and
now everybody looking like they just got off second shift.
Yeah,
the plant.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
In your new album, which congratulations.
Thank you.
Better you than me.
Better me than you.
Better me than you. Oh my God.
It usually is better you than me, but that's the whole point of the flip of the album. It's like better me than you, because better me. First of all, I'm a better me than you could ever be. So it's like you highlighting your individuality, but it's also, you know, when you the one that has to go through the extra, like the extraness of life, the extra pressure, the extra um hurt, you know what I'm saying, the extra responsibility. It's like, you know, you can complain and say you got to do it, but really it's you get to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to be chosen for that. So it's like not only when it does fall on you, when that does happen, like because when I hold my son, I think about that one day. Like one day, like right now it's on me. Sometimes it's on his mama, but when it's on him, like I hope he steps up proudly and realizes that, you know, it's a sense of pride to be able to be chosen enough to go through all of this. You know, and we here for such a limited amount of time on Earth. This might be our only time to feel all these different emotions and ups and downs. So when I look at it like that, I kind of like embrace all the situation and stresses of life a little different, you know?
And I've been following you for a while. I mean, since like finally famous, $1 million,
Yeah,
pulled
yeah.
up with 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Going back to the, I can go back. I can go back in the Sean discography. Yo, them is my people. But like just that era of like blog era Sean, and now, you know, better me than you, Sean. What is the biggest difference from early Sean, hungry Sean? I mean, still hungry Sean, but what's been the difference between that era Sean and now, you know, in your growth as a musician?
I don't know. I just think it's like just me progressing in my life. Cause like even since then, I was, like you said, $1 million. I was still rapping that inspirational talk since then. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, it's like, yeah, one of the things I saw people saying about this album is like, oh, he's like trying to be too positive and stuff. I'm like, well, that's kind of like how I always been. Like I have a song called "One Man Could Change the World." You know that. No. Of course, it's not even a bad thing. I think that it's a great thing. You know, but what I love about the album in general is like it's just multi-layered. You know, I got like, of course, there's songs where I'm just doing my thing, rapping, blacking out, and then there's songs that have something more to it. But that's like who I am as a person. You know what I'm saying? Like I wake up, I do my prayers, like I meditate, I do that. It's like I know how to have fun and shit, and you know, and party and whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? But point is, it's like the album is a great representation of me, who I am. So I think it's just a progression of everything that I've done so far and just like pushing it forward. So to me, that's my favorite part about the album in general. Yeah.
It does tie in a lot with, I feel like, who you are and you represent. You're always talking about, and you say this in one of your tracks, is God doesn't give you
what you want. God gives you what you need.
That's a fact.
And
yeah, that's a real concept, that because life is full of like gut punches and disappointments sometimes, and it's full of amazing achievements and like these beautiful blessings, especially like the life I seen. It's like unrealistic, you know, some of like I'm blind behind the miracles that I seen. But when you realize that it's not, you know, I know people, like I have friends who be like, yo, like, because I say God doesn't give you what you want, God gives you what you need. And then I also talk about how I also feel like our babies, our kids choose us to be their parents, you know, as well. You're the one who makes them, but when they're ready to come as a you know, a spirit, they choose you and, you know, deem you as worthy, right? And I really feel that in a sense of my son now. It's like I feel like he chose me and his mom as his parents. And to me, I just feel like, you know, some people don't always agree with their parents, right? There are some people who are like, I fucking hate my mom or my dad, or, you know, and like, I don't know why, but it's like, God don't give, sometimes what we want isn't always what we need, you know, and sometimes what we need isn't always what we want. Sometimes it does align and sometimes it doesn't. So that was kind of like the distinguish, that's like the point I was trying to make when I like said that.
Yeah, and when you say that, it makes me think, because if we always got what we want, then there's no growth in that. There's no maturity that comes from that. And when we get what we need, we have to sometimes accept things that we don't want to accept. Sometimes have to do things that we don't want to do. We have to grow and evolve and change in different ways that only God can allow us when he puts those things in our path. And with that being said, thinking like how do you balance that? Like you have a son now, you know, you have a booming superstar rap career. How do you balance those two things to ensure that, hey, I'm still giving my talents and what God gave me to the world, as well as making sure I'm present and here for my son and his development.
Yeah, it's a balance that like I'm still walking and trying to figure out. It's something that, because everything is like ever changing too. Like like when my son was a newborn baby, it required a different level of energy and like attention. You know, now that he's entering into toddlerhood, I would say, you know, it's a different level of attention, but it also takes a village. And like I could tell, like sometimes when I have to leave, like he's cool with me leaving, but he always like, you know, he'll miss me, and it's harder for me to leave him than it probably is for it's harder for me to leave him than him leaving me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a balance that is ever changing, and like that just goes toward for my son, but also for my work as well. It's like wherever I'm at, like the reason that it took me 4 years to make another album is because I wrote a book as well. You know, it just took a little extra time, but I also feel like now I'm back in a groove of like making music and inspired. So it's like I can't wait to like keep putting out more and like just having fun with it, you know, at this point in my career.
I got one more question. Can I run with that? I mean, you said, you mentioned Thundercat, one of the craziest bass players of all time.
Yeah,
I kind of want to.
Might be the best in the world, really.
Yo, I'm sorry, I'm about to nerd out real quick. Yo, 6-string bass.
Yeah, I know, 6-string bass. What's crazy is he just got a crib, but we used to be in his apartment, and like we would watch anime, and he would just be watching anime while playing the bass. Like it was like connected to him, like you know what I'm saying, like a whole nother part of his body. Like that's how connected he is, just watching something, not even thinking about it. And that's the level of mastery, you know, that he has towards that. Yeah. It was inspiring just to see that, because it's like I don't just be rapping while I'm you know, watching Naruto. You know, he's one of those Naruto guys who damn near think Naruto. I don't know if he thinks Naruto is better than Dragon Ball, but he really like sold me to watch him. I just finished Naruto Shippuden. It was really good. Yeah,
I finished the first Naruto. I ain't finished Shippuden yet. I gotta get through that. I mean,
it was a commitment. I started it in January and just finished. So
it is though.
I mean, when you're busy, it's like you can watch an episode here, episode 2, and I just was able to finish it. But my next one that I've been watching is Evangelion. So,
yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, and My Hero Academia, finishing that and stuff like that.
Yeah, we can nerd out later, because I'm a nerd too. I'll be on all that, bro. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So you talk about anime a lot. How does that help you with your music?
Man, how does it help me with my music? Because it kind of like just stimulates me in a different way. Like I love anime because it's like there's no other, like nothing can be done in other, like in an action movie or in a live action. Like some of the things that happen in anime are only meant for anime. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like some are just like the storylines, you know, and so that's why I like it so much. It's like it can only be done there. And yeah, it's just one of my interests. Yeah.
And it's just wild inspirational, because a lot of them be underdogs, you know, from the bottom up, getting it from the mud. So that's
like the hero's journey.
Yeah.
You know, concept where it's like that's the reason why it's probably a lot of like black people that love Goku, because Frieza was calling his ass a monkey. You know what I'm saying? and being like, and he would defy the odds and figure the way to do the impossible. You know, I'm sure a lot of like, I actually know Sean Schemmel, who's the voice of Goku.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, most of the fans are black and Mexican, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And he was saying that, you know, honestly, it's because that, like, I'm sure we looked at Goku as one of our heroes. And, you know what I mean? Just flat out. Yeah. But that's what all the anime, not all of them, but a lot of them. And you really see R.I.P. Akira Toriyama, because you really see the blueprint of how a lot of animes kind of follow that in a different way. Like, for example, you know, you have like in My Hero Academia, you have Deku. It's like kind of like Goku. You know, you have Naruto that got the Goku colors on, and then there's always Sasuke is kind of like Vegeta. You know what I'm saying? You always kind of have like
Vegeta,
the character that's the main character that has like a heart of gold that has to go through his own transformation, and then you kind of have the opposite that's like either a best friend or starts as an enemy and turns best friend, or best friend turns enemy and turns back to best friend. Yeah. You know, it's just kind of like a lot of those like blueprints that I appreciate Akira for his, you know, imagination. Yeah.
Who are your real life heroes?
My real life heroes? Real life heroes. I mean, you know, I got a lot of those. I ain't gonna lie. I got a lot of real life heroes, but you know, for sure, definitely my mom, grandma, you know, my dad too, and my brother, like in all different ways, they my hero. You know what I'm saying? For all different reasons. And just like a lot of my mentors, you know what I'm saying, get into it. It's like it's a long list really, but yeah, those are like a short list.
I know your book is coming out and in January. So there's a lot that you mentioned that you've gone through, but something that really stuck out to me is that your need to feel present in moments. Yeah. And I just want to know, like, how do you think that you're doing right now?
Yeah, I'm somebody who always is thinking about like the future. You know what I'm saying? But it's a constant learning process, you know. When I be like actively doing something, like I'm focused on this right now. I'm not thinking about anything else, you know, or like when I'm with my boy, I'm thinking about like he really keeps me present because you gotta be present because it's like, you know, they getting into everything or whatever it is. But it's definitely a constant learning process. And even like with this book, like I wrote this book, I'm not like a master by any means, you know what I mean? But these are just like a lot of practices that a lot of the people that I really do admire apply to their life too, you know what I'm saying? And I've been able to like not just see like masters in music. Like of course I've been like obviously in the studio with Ye when he's making, you know, and helping and contributing like to making Graduation and all these like crazy albums and bodies of work. But then on top of that, like some of my people outside of music, like 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗪, like I got time to spend one-on-one time with him and time, you know, one-on-one time with 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗪 and like all of these different people. And it's like when you collect all these gems, it's like, yeah, I could just like keep them in a vault, you know, but it's like you really got to give them to the world because somebody is going to be able to like take it and run with it and go even way crazier, you know? So that's the whole point of it.
In your music, like your album right now, you have a lot of new artists coming up from Detroit. In what ways can the city maybe help them? Maybe something that you didn't have, resources that you didn't have when you were growing up.
I mean, well, the biggest resource everyone got is like it's more community now than it was. I feel like when I was coming up in it, it was like you had to like drop a mixtape and like DatPiff was kind of like the blueprint for like all of these streaming services and live mixtapes. You know what I mean? It was because it was like you can go in here and download it for free. And it's not all the way the same concept, but like with Spotify, Apple Music, you know, before somebody had to really be invested in you and like in tune with you. And it was very like grassroots, word of mouth, you know. Even like when I put my first albums out, it was like you had to buy the album. It wasn't like, oh, playlist, no, nothing, none of that. You know, it's like now you can get like you know, you can get discovered a lot easier because it's like, oh, I can listen to anyone's album right now. Before it was like, oh, I got $20. I can only buy this album or this album, you know? So I think that's the difference. But so for the advantage is like Detroit's such an infectious city, you know what I'm saying? So like when you think about like Face and V's and I mean, I already said Face. 4-2 Doug, you think about T Grizzly, you think about just Skilla for sure. You think about I hope Betron. It's like it's such an infectious 1UP T, all these people, you know, and then you also got Nassan coming up who is one of my favorites. He's on my album too, Certified. He's like Atlanta and Detroit, but it's just like such a good energy we got, you know what I mean, and a unique sound. Everyone got not only their own sound, like you can identify some Detroit stuff, but everyone's still unique in their own way. Yeah. So it's like I think it's just like a great opportunity for them for it being such a community. It's just like the discoverability of everything is like a little more like easier now.
I mean, and in the Detroit, kind of like on that subject, in the Detroit like music hierarchy, where it's at like you got your, you know, classic Detroit artists, you got your M's, you got your Blade Icewood, you got your Dillas, and then you got you, who kind of brought the mold back to Detroit and broke out the box and went national as well. How do you feel like all of these eras of Detroit music can kind of come together and, I mean, continue this sound, but also work together?
Yeah, I think it's like, I really feel like I'm the glue for a lot of these Detroit. Like, I feel like
I can agree.
Feel like I'm like the tie between a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to like I rap off Dilla beats, but I'll rap with Eminem, but then I'll be with Face and be with V's and like, or do something with 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗪 and 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗢𝗪, like. I feel like I'm the and 42Doug, so it's like, can you get that phone?
Mom Dukes.
That's my mom.
Very important person.
Yeah. So I really feel like I'm the glue when it comes to it. As far as like, you know, I be getting calls from like 42Doug, like, man, how you do that? Or like, how did this happen? Or, you know, or even when I was talking to Skillet this week, he was like, man, how you make that? The Pistons, like, what's up with that? Like, you know, just like, it's like a lot of game that I like want to just keep like giving.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned Dilla. Like, what has Dilla meant to your career as a whole?
I mean, you see, I got the Dilla,
the donut shirt on. Yeah.
I mean, to me, Dilla is the most like instrumental producer of all time. What I mean by that is like, if you ask like Timberland, Pharrell, Ye, or whoever you consider like a pure hip hop or Alchemist, I'm sure like that's probably the only producer they all will say like, oh yeah, like they got inspired by him. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's like another one. I'm sure they all say that about each other too, but it for sure J Dilla, like all of them, you know. And he was just, his chops, it was like they were unpredictable. It's like an episode of Rick and Morty. You know how you can never predict where it's gonna go? It's like that's how his sampling was.
He was producing in like a multiverse or something, like in a whole different place that we you know can't really fathom. You know?
So you know, and he was just real Detroit.
Yeah.
You know, like just pure. You know, he represents one of the like, just like it's like Motown, and then it's like techno, and then it's like J Dilla, you know, as like one of the like core foundations.
And you got a song on your album that kind of sounds Dilla-esque. I think you and DJ Premier, it was Million Pieces.
Yeah.
Was that Dilla inspired?
Definitely Dilla inspired, for sure. Yeah, actually Hit Boy produced it, and then DJ Premier scratched on it. And yeah, that's what I mean. I'm sure he always be inspired by Dilla too. You know, he'd be like, yo, this like some Dilla shit. You know, he always, when he send me stuff like that. And another one on there, like Break the Cycle, produced by Leon Thomas. It kind of remind me of some Dilla with like Charlie Wilson on it.
Yeah, that song Million Pieces has such like a relaxing feel and like vibe to it. You throw on and you kind of just want to like, you know what it reminded me of? You ever seen that YouTube video like where the fox is like chill hop and the fox is like working on his homework or something? Like that song gives me that. And I can just throw it on repeat if I'm designing or something. That's a song that's like, yo, let me just put this on repeat for 2 hours and just rock it out. It's like that song gives me that Dilla, that lo-fi, that hey, this is a good vibe, good feeling song that I can rock with. So it's a dope song, bro.
Man, thank you for sure.
Definitely. I just want to tap in. Did you know that the Detroit Pistons plan to do work this season? And I just wanted to know, what do you expect to see from them?
From the Pistons? Man, it's funny. I was just talking about this. You know, the Pistons, I hope they keep in mind and keep on the track that they're on, because all great teams go through this phase. It's like we saw Steph Curry and the Warriors go through this as well. Like when they was like, you remember he tweeted like, I promise you we're going to get it together. Like, you know, and a lot of, they have to recognize the phase that they're in right now. And a lot of other teams they're a young team, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of other teams are more developed, more of this, more of that. But what I can say is that they just got to keep on. And I like the new additions that's been made this year. I feel like having a little bit more of a veteran presence on the team, but not like too old, but just a little older, is gonna like really help solidify this team. And I believe in them, dog. You know, I think they got what it takes. So they just have to like keep powering through. And you know, I just, that's all I got to say about it, really.
You're pretty much a player at this point.
Yeah.
Repping the jerseys. I think you're like one of the first people to put it on, which, by the way, I know you leaned into some designing that you want to do for the Pistons.
Yeah, I did. I designed their team. I designed the city jerseys, not last year, but the year before that, where it was like, it was a tribute to Saint Cecilia, and so I didn't design this one. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you designed them," even though I love them. They fired like a ode to the Bad Boys era, like with the tan and the fire orange and black. And I like can't wait to see like how they customize the court, like the Bad Boys. And we're gonna make sure we design like special just merch for the season. Hopefully we can get like a lot of like Don Life Pistons tees, like rare collabs. I remember we did like this super rare Detroit jersey that was like spray painted. It like went crazy and like had like it was like a tattoo jersey basically of like all these different Detroit elements. And that was like one of my favorite designs I've done with the Pistons, because it was like just me designing free reign. But I'm looking forward to like just like turning up in that aspect.
Yeah, bro. We can't wait, you know, to see what you do. We know you always got creative juices flowing. You're always locked in on whatever you working on. I know we getting low, a little bit low on time, but we got a little drill that we do. It's called 24-second shot clock, and we're gonna talk about some Detroit staples. All we need is like one word answers.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna ask you these.
All right.
And I think when this come out, people might be like, or yeah, but it's cool, man. So look, 24 seconds on the clock.
All right.
Favorite J's Better Made chip flavor?
Hot.
All-time Pistons player?
I would say Rip.
Okay. Yeah. Favorite Nikki D's order?
Grilled chicken pita with Swiss cheese only.
Boom. And we got favorite restaurant in Detroit?
Favorite restaurant in Detroit, She-Wolf.
And the last one is going to be a hard one. Favorite Detroit artist album, any genre?
Favorite Detroit album, artist, any genre?
Artist from Detroit album, any genre.
Any Stevie Wonder album.
Boom.
Wow.
Yeah. Good money.
Yeah.
He mentions that in his book. He mentions that in his book that you're a fan.
Huh?
That you're a fan of Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, he's to me, he's the greatest singer-songwriter of all time. It's not even like close. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And yo, that's our 24-second shot clock, my boy.
Okay, that was easy. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and one more question. Sorry. Sorry, guys. So.
Well, you know what? I have to add, I also think
this is going on 50 seconds now.
I know the greatest, to me, the greatest album, Songs in the Key of Life, but I also feel like What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, the album, that might be the greatest album of all time. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that album, it was the first like conceptual R&B album, and it was the story behind it is just so crazy that might be it's like tied. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm probably running with Anita Baker, Rapture.
Anita Baker,
that's what I will run with.
I had so many days cruising to Anita Baker, bro. She is a gem. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah,
different,
for sure.
different.
I'm just gonna stick with Eminem.
All right.
So
yeah, I mean that's a good choice too. You know, which one though? Marshall Mathers, or you going Slim Shady? You on Eminem show? Recovery.
You know why? Because I was an undergrad during that time.
Yeah.
And so I would just be
fire.
Yeah, it's just like very inspirational. You know, like
it
in
a
weird way, it's like kind of like a version of him, like him being reborn and all that. So I feel like it stems with me.
Man, respect. Yeah. I respect that for sure.
Well, Sean, man, we appreciate you coming out, bro. We appreciate you being here, man. It's an honor. I mean, Detroit hero, Detroit superstar, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for pulling up, my brother.
I appreciate y'all having me, man. It's on, man. Detroit, you already know what it is, man. The Pistons.
Yes,
sir. Motherfucking whip some ass this year.
Let's get it. You feel me?
Sean, what's up, man?
All right, my boy. Appreciate you.
All right.